Hello and welcome to the second lesson of the week, guys. If you are following in the book, we are only on page 258 today, and we still are in lesson 3 of topic 5. Let's get right to it and start with a little quiz. I want to know, what is a keystone species? Is it A, a diverse number of species? Is it B, a species that helps other species survive in an ecosystem? Is it C, a carnivore? Or is it D, a species that makes its own food? Give yourself 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause the video if you need more help. I'm going to give you a clue. I'm going to knock out letter C. Keystone species is not just a carnivore. It could really be any sort of animal that eats meats, plants, or both. I'm also going to knock out letter D, a species that makes its own food. That is referred to as a producer. Our most famous producers are plants and algae. So it's not going to be C, it's not going to be D. So you got a 50-50 chance. And it is letter B. It is a species that helps other species survive in an ecosystem. So it's like a really important organism, because if it was not there, a lot of animals would also not be there. All right, let's review some keystone species we learned about yesterday. This adorable otter. Remember that they ate sea urchins that helped prevent the sea urchins from overeating the kelp forest, and that helped keep biodiversity. We also have our African elephant, and these big guys would push over trees, and that seems like not a great thing, but actually when they pushed over the trees, they let other animals eat, and they also let new plants grow in. Okay, let's see if you can pick out the keystone species, and you're kind of looking for, of the two animals, what is the more important animal that is probably going to be our keystone species? What has more animals or organisms depending on it? So let's start off with a fox. A fox is a predator, so it hunts, but actually it also will eat meat and plants. So that is called an omnivore. We are also omnivores because we eat meat and plants. All right, moving on. On the right-hand side, I have a beaver. A beaver will build dams, and by building dams, it creates wetlands. Many animals will live in these wetlands that the beavers create. And actually, the dams will act like a Brita filter and help clean the water. So 5 seconds, what do you think is the most important animal? What do you think, what animal you think if I took away, other animals would suffer? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully you said Mr. Busy Beaver, and one of the reasons they are keystone species is because those dams really change the ecosystem for the better. So if you took away the beavers, you take away the dams, and you might not even have a wetland for birds and fish and plants to live in. Now that we're done reviewing, let's focus on the goal of today, which is learning about a niche. It's kind of a fun word. It sounds en français, sounds a little French. A niche is the role of an organism in its habitat. Remember, habitat is another word for animal home. It includes what an organism eats and how it gets food. So this is probably one of the most important things about a niche. What do you eat? How do you eat it? Are you a carnivore? Are you an omnivore? Do you have big claws? For hunting? Do you have big ears to not get eaten? These are examples of niches. I think the best way for you to understand what a niche is to think of it like a sports team, like a football team. You have all sort of different positions and jobs and roles for a sports team. You've got offense, defense, you have a receiver, you have an interceptor. I do not know a lot about sports. Most of my information from football comes from my 7-year-old nephew, but I know that there are different roles, there are different jobs, and that is kind of like what a niche is like. You're going to have animals that are defense. You're going to have animals that are offense. You're going to have animals that just throw the ball. You're going to have animals that just catch the ball. So this is a good comparison for a niche. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at sports. Another great niche example are bird beaks. So take a quick look at all of these different birds. what they look like. I've got a pelican, I got a hawk, I got a hummingbird. First observations, well, they're all birds, but their beak, or kind of like the nose of the bird, looks really, really different. And that's because they're going to eat different things and they're going to live in different parts of the ecosystem. So a pelican is like a water bird. It eats fish. It's got that bill that really like extends out like a bucket so it can kind of swoop up water and hopefully get some tasty snacks. That hawk has got that really curved beak. It almost looks like a knife because it will eat small animals like birds and rats. And a hummingbird is much, much smaller, much lighter than the other two birds. And it's got that beautiful long, long beak. And that's because it needs to stick its beak into a flower to try to drink out some of the nectar. So these are all different niches that these birds occupy. And if I was like, hey, Mr. Hawk, would you like to snack on a delicious flower? He can't do anything. He's going to be like, girl, bye. I don't have the beak for that. This is not my niche. I can't do anything with that. So if we're learning about biodiversity, why are we learning about niches? Well, niches help an ecosystem have high biodiversity. Let's move on to our final example for this lesson. Let's pretend we are in Florida and we are looking at a palm tree. And I see at the base or bottom of the palm tree, I've got a lizard. As I look up, I have another lizard that I see is living on the stem or bark of the tree. So I got one lizard living at the bottom, one lizard living on the stem. And then if I look at the top of the tree, I see that there's a different lizard that lives at the in the leaves of the tree. So I've got three different niches on this one tree. I've got the base of the tree, the stem of the tree, and the top of the tree. All right, so this is Florida. So all of a sudden they want to build a resort. So we're going to get rid of that beach where those palm trees were, where those three different niches for those lizards were. So here we go. I've got my palm tree gone. My lizard that lives at the bottom, he's gonna be okay, but my other two lizards, now they don't have a home. They're gonna be competing for resources with the blue lizard, and there is actually no guarantee that they are going to even survive at the bottom of the tree because their niches were on the stem and on the top of the branch. So I've lost niches. There's a really good chance my black and my green lizards won't be able to survive, and now I lost biodiversity. So that is why niches and preserving niches is really important to maintaining biodiversity. Again, high biodiversity equals a more stable ecosystem. Guys, that is it for today. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Stay healthy. Wash your hands.